as a financial advisor for over 20 years. I've seen hundreds of families transition into retirement. And unfortunately, many struggle. And oftentimes those struggles have to do with their withdrawal strategy and how much money they're allowing themselves to spend. So in today's video, I want to share with you a study by BlackRock. That's one of the world's largest money managers. And they did a study of their clients. I've seen things anecdotally, but this is a full-on study that agrees with the things that I've seen with my clients. So let's jump in. The BlackRock study is called To Spend or Not to Spend. And one of the first things that they do is they look at how much money people still have 17, 18 years after retirement. And I want to call your attention to that far right corner. Now this is broken out. This is not just wealthy people. These are lower wealth people, medium wealth people, and higher wealth people. And you can see there well over a third of people 17 to 18 years into retirement have more than the money that they retired with. So this is greater than 100%. They have more than the money that they initially retired with, which I know seems like a good thing. But the question is, at what price did that come? And I'm going to get to that next. Okay, so the next category is people that have over 80% of the money that they retired with. And you can see that's closer on the lower wealth side. There's not many people in that category. It looks like about 5%, and then we get about 10% for medium wealth and maybe 12%, 1 in 8, for people that are considered to be higher levels of wealth. Now let's look at the other end of the spectrum. People that have less than 20% of the money that they retired with. And you can see for lower wealth people, that's about a third. And then it's for higher wealth people, it's very uncommon for them to have 20% or less of what they retired with. So that looks like maybe 12%. So we want to get this balance correct. And oftentimes, one of the big mistakes that people make is they don't spend enough money early in retirement. They're still in the accumulation mindset. And that's what this follow-up to that chart by BlackRock shows. These are their key findings. And the first one is retirees prefer to keep their assets untouched. Their starting balance, they prefer to keep it untouched. You can see that retirees have mixed feelings about spending down assets. So a little less than a third are comfortable spending down their assets. Another third are somewhat comfortable. And then another third report that they're not comfortable spending down their assets. So that's the first thing. You've worked hard your whole life to prepare for retirement. Know how much that you can spend each year. And then give yourself permission to do that. For the vast majority of us, we're going to be spending down our assets. Probably 90% of us are going to be spending down our assets. And if we're not, we're sacrificing unnecessarily. I want to go back to the point here at the top. 1 in 4 feel they'll have to spend down their principal. That is way too low. That should be 4 out of 4 should feel that they're going to have to spend down some of their principal. Or 3 out of 4 would pass my sniff test. If you have enough money, some people can do a dividend portfolio strategy and live off their dividends. But the vast majority of us, in order to have the retirement that we worked hard for, the retirement that we deserve, in order to be able to enjoy it and have fun in retirement, we're going to have to spend down our assets. Not all of them, but we're going to have to spend down some of them. Okay, let's keep going. Number 2. The number 2 key finding is that retirees often plan to spend money consistently with age. And it's almost half, it's 43% are doing this. And what financial advisors have found is that there's really what we call the retirement smile. And what that is, we start up here when we first retire. Our spending could be, and I would argue should be, higher early in retirement during the go-go years. Then we've kind of done the trips. We've done the things that we wanted to do, and spending goes down. And then unfortunately, spending goes up again towards the end of our retirement for some of us because of healthcare issues. So 43% are saying they plan to spend consistently. Only 16% are saying that they plan to spend more in the beginning. You can see another 16% say that they plan to spend more at the end of retirement, that pink line. So I think for most of us, we'll enjoy our retirement more and we'll have fewer regrets when we look back and say, yeah, let's say you retire at 65. What I don't want to have happen to you is maybe at 75 you have a health issue and now you can't do some of the things that you were always hoping to do. World travel, whatever it is. And what I don't want you to do is look back and regret that. So 16% are saying that they're planning on spending less, and 43% are saying that they're planning on spending consistently. So it's almost, what is that, almost 60%. And I just encourage you, there's no right or wrong here. I should share none of this is financial advice for you. I don't know your situation. But I want to put this on your radar screen for something for you to think about, because as an advisor that's helped people, as somebody that's seen my clients lose their health and no longer be able to do some of these things, there is regret there, and unfortunately it's difficult or impossible to unwind that clock. Okay, number 3, retirees retain their accumulation mindset. So we're still keeping in this accumulation mindset like we did for 20, 30, 40 years while we were working, right? It's just human nature. We've been working hard and saving what we can, and it's been ingrained in us to save money, and so now it's a big mental challenge to think about. Now it's time to actually spend some of this money, and oftentimes I surprise my clients. If they're doing well on saving, I encourage them maybe a year or two before retirement to quit trying to save money, to try to spend more money, and to get used to that. Now, that's not for everybody. The last couple years before retirement can be incredibly important, and for some people it's really important to hit the gas and save as much as you can. But if you've been a super saver, if your challenge might be frugality in retirement, I encourage you to spend a little bit more and to test drive that before you retire. Okay, the next one deals exactly with what I was just talking about, which is the feeling of frugality or being very careful overly cautious on how much you're spending. And one of the things that relieves that for people is having access to a pension. Now, few of us do have access to a pension, but people that have access to a pension tend to be more comfortable with spending down their assets and being comfortable actually spending. So you can see on the lower left-hand side of this curve, figure 5, they're less likely to consider themselves to be frugal, right? If you look at frugal or very frugal, it's still 8% of people with a pension report that. But with no pension, it's about 50% higher. It's about 12 percentage points, the 2 and the 10%. So, and I get that. That just passes the sniff test, right? If you have guaranteed income coming in every month, you know how much you can spend and you can relax. Most of us aren't in that situation. Most of us have to put ourselves on a budget, and we've got our money invested, and some months the investments are going to do well, some months the investments are not going to do well. And that, I get that can lead to a sense of frugality, but I do think that you'll have a much happier and enjoyable retirement if you can get out of that mode. We can see at the other end what I would call an easy spender. So they're not very careful with their spending. They're a willing spender. They're a very willing spender. I tend to be a little more frugal, so my goal is to get to be a willing and happy spender. But you can see those 3 categories there, which I'm just calling an easy spender. People with a pension, it's about 10% of people would classify themselves that way, and 9% would classify themselves that way if they don't have a pension. So it's almost equal. So the pension it gives people the freedom to not be so frugal, but it doesn't really change a lot on the high end. On the high end, it's about 9 or 10% pension or no pension. Okay, the next one is a side commentary, but it's a true commentary on our society, that men and women feel differently about retirement and their sense of financial security. Men tend to be more apt to spend consistently. 48% of men are comfortable with that, 38%. And as importantly, I want to show you figure 6. Women are more likely to feel financially vulnerable. 57% of women feel financially secure, where almost 2/3 of men feel financially secure. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. The gender pay gap, other responsibilities, maybe taking care of elderly parents, or adult children that might need help. And so women are more likely to maybe take off of work a little bit earlier, retire sooner in order to be able to do that, and have fewer financial assets. Okay, the next one talks about recent retirees tend to feel less financially secure. And I bring this point 6 up because I think it's really important, because if you don't feel financially secure, then you're not going to feel the freedom to be able to spend your money. And 63% of recent retirees feel financially vulnerable. 58% of people that have been retired for a longer period of time. And what is driving this? It's concern over healthcare costs. Again, you can see recent retirees are more worried about these things than people that have been retired for a while, right? We just get used to that, becomes our new norm. Needing long-term care, then health issues, possibly cognitive decline, and then potential investment loss. And that's a real key. It's an important piece. The pain of loss with your investments, the pain that risk causes you, that volatility in the market causes, I've seen increases dramatically once you're retired and you no longer have money coming in. So some people might say, hey, Azul, that makes sense. You know, I think it's going to be an extra 10% of concern, or it's going to feel marginally worse. But what I've seen is it can feel a lot worse, like double the amount of pain, triple, 10x the amount of pain. So be cautious with your asset allocation. And just because you're super comfortable with risk before you retire doesn't mean you're going to be super comfortable with risk after you retire. So these are the types of decisions that I think are really important, and probably no decision is more important than when you choose to retire. And that's why I made this video up here. Thinking of retiring at 65, that might be a big mistake. You might want to retire sooner. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in that one.